It is a warm summer evening, and you are just trying to eat your supper in peace. And you cannot, because the flies will not leave the table, landing on the rim of your glass, on the edge of your plate, on your own hand, and you wave them off, and they circle around and land right back down in the very same spot, bold as anything. Then the sun goes down, and the flies go to bed, and their cousin takes over. And now it is that thin, high whine in the dark, right beside your ear, and the little itching welts rising on your ankles, the mosquito hunting you in your own home. And then, late that night, you get up for a glass of water in the dark, and you flip on the kitchen light, and something dark and fast and low goes darting across the counter and vanishes down behind the stove before you can even gasp. A roach. 3 plagues, friend, in one evening, in one house. The flies by day, the mosquitoes at dusk, and the roaches in the dark of night. Now you have seen the videos the same as I have. 1 bottle, they say. Set it out for 1 hour, and you will never see a fly or a mosquito or a roach in your home again. And I am going to tell you plainly, the way I always do, because I would rather lose your click than your trust. That is not true. There is no single bottle and no single hour that ends all 3 of these forever. Anyone who promises you that is selling you a pretty dream, and when it does not work, you will feel a fool, and it was never your fault, it was the lie. But here is what is true, and it is better than the dream because it is real and it works. There are 3 honest homemade traps, one built for each of these 3 creatures, that genuinely catch them for pennies out of what is already in your kitchen. And here is the thing that no video tells you, the thing that explains why you need 3 different traps and not 1 magic bottle. These 3 creatures hunt you by 3 completely different senses. The fly finds your table one way, the mosquito finds your blood a second way, and the roach finds your kitchen a third way, and they are not the same, not at all. A trap that fools one of them is perfectly useless on the other 2. So once you understand how each one hunts, you can build the exact trap that beats it. And that, honestly, and with the plain truth about what each one can and cannot do, is what I am going to give you today. Not one part of this is difficult. It costs pennies from what is in your cupboard right now. Any man or woman watching can build all 3 in an afternoon. I am Pastor Eli. I have kept a country parish and a country house for the better part of 40 years, in old farmhouses that had all 3 of these plagues and more. And I learned to deal with them from the old folks who never had a can of store poison in the house, and from a caretaker named Amos, who used to say that you cannot beat a creature you do not understand, and that the whole trick is knowing how the thing hunts. Today I am going to give you the whole of it. The honest truth about that 1 bottle promise, which I have already begun. Then the fly trap, and how a fly finds your food. Then the mosquito trap, and the surprising way a mosquito finds you in the dark. Then the roach trap, and why a roach is different from both. Then the honest word about the sprays and remedies folks swear by. And last, the real fix that ends all 3 for good, which no trap by itself will ever give you. The traps come first. 1 word before I go on, and it is the only time I will say it. The old ways I keep. There is more of it than fits in any one video. I gathered the whole of it into a book, and you will find it at PastorEliWhitfield.com. It is called Waste Nothing, and it is a manual and not a sermon, with a real price on every material and an honest word on every limit. I will not mention it again. If you want it, you know where it is. Now let me give you the first trap, for the flies. A fly hunts by smell. That is the whole of how it finds your table. It cannot see much, but it can smell a ripe peach or a bit of meat or a sweet spill from clear across the room, and it follows that smell straight in. So you beat a fly by using its own nose against it. You take a jar or a cut-off plastic bottle, and in the bottom you put a bait that smells strong and sweet, a spoon of sugar dissolved in a little water, or a bit of old jam, or a piece of overripe fruit, or a splash of cider vinegar. And here is the one secret that makes it kill instead of just feed 'em. You add a single drop of dish soap and stir it gentle. The soap breaks the surface of the liquid so the fly cannot stand on top and drink. It sinks and drowns. Then you make a funnel, either roll a cone of paper or cut the top off the bottle and turn it upside down into itself, so the fly follows the smell down through the narrow hole into the jar and cannot find its way back out. The smell draws it, the funnel keeps it, the soap ends it. If you saw my video on the big house flies, this is that same trap, and it works because it speaks the only language a fly understands, which is smell. Now the second trap, for the mosquitoes, and this one has a secret in it that will genuinely surprise you, so stay with me. Because a mosquito does not hunt like a fly at all. A mosquito does not care a thing about your supper or your fruit bowl. A mosquito hunts you, your blood. And do you know how she finds you? In a pitch-dark room with your eyes shut? She smells your breath. When you breathe out carbon dioxide, an invisible gas, and a mosquito can sense that gas from clear across a room and follow it right to your skin, because to her, that breath is the smell of a warm meal. That is how she finds you in the dark every single time. So here is how you fool her. You make a trap that breathes. You take an empty 2-liter plastic bottle and cut the top off a few inches down. In the bottom part, you dissolve a few spoonfuls of sugar in about a cup of warm, not hot, water and let it cool a bit. And then you add about a spoonful of ordinary baking yeast, the same yeast for bread, and you do not even need to stir it. And now something quiet and clever begins. That living yeast starts to eat the sugar, and as it eats, it ferments, and it breathes out carbon dioxide, real carbon dioxide, the very same gas that comes out of your own lungs, and it keeps breathing it out slowly for days. Then you take the top you cut off, turn it upside down like a funnel, and set it into the bottom part so the spout points down, and tape the two together. Now you have a little machine that sits in the corner and breathes like a sleeping person, and the mosquitoes, hunting for that breath, find your trap instead of finding you, and they fly down through the funnel to reach it, and they cannot get back out. But I promised you honesty, and here is the honest truth about this trap, because I will not oversell it the way those videos do. This trap thins the mosquitoes out. It is a reducer, not a miracle. It will noticeably cut down the whining and the biting in a room or a corner of the porch, but it will not clear a whole yard, and it is not the end of them. And two things matter for it to work. First, you must place it away from where you sit, off in a corner or at the edge of the yard, not right beside your chair, or you will just be drawing the mosquitoes toward yourself. Let the trap be the most tempting breath in the room, not you. Second, keep it out of the hot sun, because the heat will kill the yeast and stop the breathing. So set it in the shade and change the mix every week or two when it stops bubbling. Do that and it earns its keep. And I will give you the real mosquito answer at the very end, the one worth more than any trap, so hold on for it. Let me pause here just a moment, friend. If these old ways are worth something to you, subscribe and walk along with me. I put out one of these every week, and it costs you nothing. Now let me stop you right here because we are turning a corner. You have the fly and the mosquito, but the roach is a different animal altogether. And then I owe you the honest truth about the remedies you have seen and the real fix that ties all three together. So stay close because the best of it is still coming. The third trap is for the roach, And the roach hunts a third way again. It does not follow a smell across the open air like a fly, and it does not home in on your breath like a mosquito. A roach creeps in the dark, along the walls and into the cracks, feeling its way with those long feelers, hunting for two things, food and water, and above all, it wants to stay hidden, to run along an edge and never cross the open. So its trap is a trap set low, against the wall, in the dark, where it already travels. The simple no-poison one is a jar trap. You take a jar and put a bit of tempting bait in the bottom, a smear of peanut butter, a crust of bread soaked in a little beer, some damp coffee grounds, and then you smear the inside of the jar's neck with cooking oil or a bit of petroleum jelly, and you set it against the wall. The roach smells the food, climbs up and in for it, and then cannot climb back out over that slick, greased rim, and there it stays. Set a few along the walls where you have seen them run, and then there is the stronger one, the one that actually clears them out. And I will give it to you with an honest and important word of caution. It is boric acid and sugar. Boric acid is a white powder you can buy cheap at the drugstore or hardware store, and you mix it in equal parts with plain powdered sugar. The sugar is the lure the roach cannot resist, and the boric acid is what does the work. And here is the clever, patient thing about it. It is slow. The roach eats the sweet powder and does not die on the spot. It carries the rest back to its hidden nest in the wall, and it dies there, among all the others you never see. And because roaches will eat their own dead, the poison passes from one to the next, right through the whole colony, killing the ones deep in the wall that no trap could ever reach. But hear me close on the caution, because boric acid, gentle as it is to us, is still a mild poison. You keep it well away from children and from pets, and off of any surface where food is prepared. And you place it only back in the cracks and the dark corners and under the heavy appliances where only a roach will ever go. And you wash your hands after. And it must be kept dry, for it stops working if it gets wet. Used with that care, it is the old, cheap, proven way to clear a roach problem down to the root. Now the fifth thing, the honest word about the sprays and remedies folks swear by, because you have surely seen them, and a friend tells you the truth about each. There is the one where you boil bay leaves and cloves into a water and spray it about. Here is the honest truth. The clove has something real in it, a strong oil that many insects genuinely dislike. And it is true enough that cloves are even used to help draw roaches to a bait. So that spray may put a bug off a spot for a little while. But it is a mild scent that fades in a few hours, and it will not trap anything, and it will not clear an infestation. So treat it as a pleasant little helper at most, and never lean on it while a real problem grows behind it. Then there is the one you mix from shampoo and vinegar and oil. Sprayed directly onto a bug you can see, the soap and the oil will coat it and smother it. A real contact kill, the same as the soap spray I showed you for the garden. But sprayed around the house as a smell they supposedly cannot stand, it does little but leave a greasy mess on your baseboards. Use it on a bug you can see, not as a wall of scent. And as for the little plug-in gadgets that promise to drive pests off with a sound, save your money, for the studies are clear and plain that those do nothing at all. And now the last thing, the real fix that ends all three, the one no trap by itself will ever give you. And this is the part those one-bottle videos leave out entirely, because it is the part that actually works. A trap catches what is already in your house tonight, but every one of these three came in for a reason and breeds on something, and if you take away that something, they have no reason to come and no place to multiply, and the trap has almost nothing left to catch. And it is a different something for each, so here is the one that matters most for each of the three. The flies came for food and filth, and they breed on it. So cover the food, take the trash out, keep the counters wiped, clean the drain, and go find the one rotting thing that is feeding them, and they thin away to almost nothing. The mosquitoes, and hear this, for it is the single most important thing I will say in this whole video. Mosquitoes breed in standing water, and only in standing water. Not in your walls, not out of the woods, not from nowhere. A mother mosquito must have still, standing water to lay her eggs in, and she will use the smallest bit of it, a bottle cap's worth, the old bucket by the shed, the saucer under the flower pot, the clogged gutter full of leaves and rain, the bird bath, the kiddie pool, the wrinkled tarp holding a puddle, the dish under the air conditioner, the old tire. Every one of those is a nursery hatching hundreds. So the real mosquito fix, worth more than any trap ever made, is this. Once a week, every week, walk your whole yard and tip out every single thing that is holding water. Empty it. That one weekly walk does not kill a few grown mosquitoes the way a trap does. It stops 10,000 of the next ones from ever being born. The trap catches the few that found you. Emptying the water ends the flood at its source. And the roaches came for crumbs and grease and water, and they hide in the cracks. So sweep up the crumbs, wipe down the grease, and above all, fix the drip under the sink, because a roach must have water and will die without it, and a dry kitchen is a kitchen they starve in. Seal up the cracks and gaps they travel through. A clean, dry, sealed kitchen starves them out, and then the bait finishes off the hungry few that remain. The trap, friend, is the mop, taking away their food and their water and their standing water. That is the cure. Do both and you win, and you stay one. Now let me take a moment, because here is where it all comes together. Look at what we have walked through. The honest truth that no one bottle in 1 hour ends all three, but that 3 real traps do the work. The fly trap, a sweet bait and a drop of soap in a funnel that speaks the fly's language of smell. The mosquito trap, the bottle of sugar and yeast that breathes out carbon dioxide like a sleeping man and draws her hunting hunger away from your skin. A reducer and not a miracle, set away from your chair and out of the sun. The roach trap, the grease jar and the boric acid and sugar carried back to kill the hidden nest, handled with care away from the children. The honest word that the clove spray is a mild, fading helper. The soap spray a contact kill and not a wall. And the sonic gadget nothing at all. And the real fix, cutting off their food and their water, and above all, tipping out every drop of standing water once a week, which ends the mosquitoes at the source better than any trap on earth. Pennies, a few jars and bottles, and a walk around the yard once a week. And now the small honest word about why the true way stays quiet while the one bottle dream spreads far and wide. And I do not say it to rile you up. There is no money and no viral video in telling a man to empty his buckets and wipe his counters and fix his drip. But there is a great deal of money and a great many clicks in a bottle that promises to end 3 plagues in an hour, whether it works or not. So the loud false promise travels the world, and the plain old true way, the way your grandmother actually kept a clean and pest-free house, sits quiet, waiting for someone honest to tell it to you. And now someone has. Scripture puts the whole of it in a single line. The prudent man, it says, foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. But the simple pass on and are punished. The prudent man foresees the evil and prepares for it, and the simple pass on and suffer for it. There is the difference between the two ways in that one old verse. The simple man waits until the flies are on the table, and the mosquitoes are biting, and the roaches are in the walls, and then goes running for a miracle bottle to save him, and finds none. But the prudent man, the wise one, foresees it, and empties his standing water before the swarm is ever born, and seals his cracks and wipes his counters before the roach ever finds a reason to come. And so the plague that overwhelms the careless never even arrives at his door. It is not a lesson about bugs in the end. It is the oldest wisdom there is, that a small thing seen and dealt with early saves you from a great trouble later. in a house, and in a life alike. Foresee the evil and deal with it small, and you will not have to fight it large. So here's what I want you to do this week. Build the trap for whichever of the three is plaguing you most. A fly jar, a breathing bottle for the mosquitoes, a grease jar, or a careful bit of boric acid for the roaches. Then do the thing that matters more than the trap. Walk your yard and tip out every drop of standing water, and set yourself to do it every week. Wipe your counters and fix your drip. Do all of it, and you will not just catch a few of them tonight, you will stop the flood of them tomorrow. Now tell me in the comments below, which of the three plagues you the worst where you live? The flies, the mosquitoes, or the roaches? And did your mother or your grandmother have an old trap or a habit against them that nobody writes down anymore? Tell me what it was, and tell me your state, for these three come far worse in some corners of this country than others, and I like to map the old ways by where you all write from. I read every single one. Next time, since we have been sealing up the cracks that let the roaches in, and the cold months are coming on now, I'm going to show you the old way to seal a house for the winter, and the very same gaps that let the pests creep in are the gaps that let your warm air leak out, and your heating money along with it, so that closing them keeps out the cold and the critters both, and saves you a good deal besides. It is the natural next step after today, and I hope you will walk it with me. Until then, look well to what you have been given, waste nothing, and God bless.